And now Kutztown University Athletics and KUR present to you this week's edition of the Golden Bear Beat. This weekly radio program brings to you an in-depth look at the week in sports around campus, including game highlights, player and coach interviews, and an analysis of recent sporting events. Live on campus, let's send it to our host, Adam Dobrowolski.
And good afternoon, everyone. Adam Dobrowolski here in the KUR studios as we get ready for another edition of the Golden Bear Beat, as today kind of wraps up most of the fall 2013 season here for Kutztown University Athletics. In fact, one event left, and we'll talk about that final event, which is coming up Saturday out in Washington State. But what we'll do here today, wrap up the 2013 football, women's soccer, and volleyball seasons. And then, of course, get you the update in the week that was in Kutztown Athletics. Well, this past weekend I myself was on the road for the Golden Bear Network as the women's soccer team was in the NCAA tournament. Do not have highlights of the KU football senior day game, but nonetheless, we get a recap of that. That's how we'll start things off, and then we'll hear from head coach Drew Fulmer in just a minute. But Kutztown trying to finish off the season with a 3-game winning streak as they hosted an Edinboro team that's been up and down this year. They've been able to win at IUP, a team that had only 2 losses this season, but in the previous week they only won against Clarion by 2. Kutztown, remember, lost by 1 in overtime at Clarion, and that was when the Eagles had their starting quarterback to begin the year in Ben Fiskus before he went down at the end of the year, or went down for the rest of the year, about the 3rd game in. So this unknown to see if the Kutztown Golden Bears can get this victory and this winning streak to end the season, but as you'll find out from these highlights, it was a good way to send out 2013. We go to University Field as the Golden Bears coming into the game with a 3-7 record. Edinboro an even 5-5. Josh Luckenball under center for the Golden Bears, and on Kutztown's first drive of the game after a return out to the 43-yard line from Curtis Wortham, Luckenball getting some plays going of the short variety, whether it's run or pass. He converts a 4th and 1, rushing for 2 yards up middle. Leads to a first down in Edinboro territory. On a 3rd and 1, Daryl Scott rushing for 4 yards and a first down. But after that, Luckenball, 3 consecutive passes complete. Alex Atiye, 16 yards, another first down. After a loss of 3 by Brett Fox, Anthony Kelly, completion of 8 yards. Then a pass interference by Edinboro keeps Kutztown alive on a 3rd and 5. Next play, 1st and goal. Luckenball finding Cody Reed for a touchdown. 8 yards, extra point good by Andrew Deutsch. Kutztown up 7-0. That was the score through 1 quarter. Early second, DeAndrea Vaughn on a 2nd and 2 at the Kutztown 26-yard line. Edinboro driving, but Vaughn loses a football. Recovered by Kutztown's Zachary Delp. Golden Bears take over possession at their own 33-yard line. And Kutztown getting a big play from Luckenball to Anthony Kelly. 40 yards and a touchdown on a 3rd and 4. Extra point good by Deutsch, and the Golden Bears up early, 14-0. Edinboro trying to mount a comeback. A 41-yard attempt by TJ Hardy on the next drive was blocked. Staying a scoreless game with the next drive by Edinboro after a punt by Deutsch that went to the Kutztown 22-yard line on the short field. Edinboro finishes it off with a Darren Massey 15-yard rushing touchdown, 14-7 the score. Nate Fair missed a field goal on the next Kutztown drive from 44 yards out. Edinboro couldn't get anything either offensively, so the score at the half, 14-7. Some field goals exchanged back and forth. Fair from 41 yards, Hardy from 30 yards. In fact, Hardy on the first drive of the second half had another field goal block, this time from 33 yards. Jake Wygant with the block, but 17-10 the score heading into the final minute of the first quarter. In fact, 37 seconds left to go in the 3rd quarter. Second play with Kutztown drive from the Edinboro 21 after a Zach Delp interception. Curtis Wortham, 10-yard rushing touchdown. Just 2 seconds left to go in the third quarter. Kutztown goes up 40-10. Why am I keep harping on the time? Well, you're going to see Kutztown finishing strong in this game. Next drive by Edinboro. First play of the fourth quarter. John Gervin intercepted again by Delp. He returns it to the Edinboro 30-yard line. Kutztown on the ensuing drive. 19-yard completion from Luckenball to Reed. Next play, first and goal from the 7. Luckenball again finding Reed, this time for a touchdown. Extra point good by Deutsch. 31-10 the score. Kutztown's next drive after they force a punt from Edinboro leads to a fair 26-yard field goal. 34-10 the score. After another punt from Edinboro, Kutztown finishing the job. Curtis Wortham, a 39-yard rushing touchdown. Extra point good from Deutsch. 41-10, the final score, as Kutztown outscored Edinboro 24-0 over the final 15 and a half minutes of this ball game. Kutztown overall totaling 469 yards of offense. Remember, they went for over 500 against the Bald Eagles of Lock Haven the previous week, the penultimate week of the season. Golden Bears getting 251 through the air. 218 via the ground. Meanwhile, Edinboro just 274 yards of total offense. Individually speaking, good game for Josh Luckenball. 26 of 34 for 251 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Rushing-wise, 11 carries, 46 yards. Curtis Wortham, his final game as a senior, 20 carries, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns. Receiving-wise, Anthony Kelly led the way with, along with Cody Reed, for a combined 13 catches, a combined 186 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Those two really stood out, and that kind of caps off the year in which different receivers in different games have been able to shine for the Golden Bears. Finally, defensively speaking for KU, another strong game by the front seven. Only 1 sack in this game, but able to limit the Edinboro big plays while making big plays of their own. Zach Delp, half sack, 9 total tackles, fumble recovery, 2 interceptions, and a quarterback hit. He was the leader for KU in a nice way to finish off his freshman season. So, again, Kutztown with the victory, finishing their season at 4-7. They had a 3-4 mark in the PSAC East, 4-7 overall, and the senior class for KU finishes off as the winningest senior class in Kutztown football history. Remember, 2010-2011 postseason appearances in the NCAA tournament, a NCAA tournament victory in 2011. Last year, a 7-4 season. This year, 4-7. So overall, strong play from the senior class. Great way to finish the season. So yesterday, I sat down with head coach Drew Fulmer and got his thoughts on the season finale for KU. And we're here with head coach Drew Fulmer of the KU football team. Coach, 3 consecutive wins to end the season, obviously concluding the season this past Saturday with a 41-10 victory against Edinboro. Before we talk about the winning streak to end the season, just your overall thoughts on how you guys played against the Fighting Scots.
I thought the kids did a great job. I thought it was probably our most complete game, maybe next to Lock Haven, of the season in all 3 phases, offense, defense, and special teams. And I thought we came out and started fast, and it was one of those things where we actually led the game from start to finish. So I thought the kids did a great job.
Now, how important was it to get that victory for the seniors and to see guys like Curtis Wortham, Alex Dinolfi have the ability to finish their season on the field on a winning note?
It was very important. It was something that we had talked about with the entire team all week long was the opportunity to send our senior class out on a positive note with a win at home. So it was a special thing to do for those guys in their final home game. So we were very excited for those guys, and they're all going to be missed.
Now, for that winning streak, how important would you say getting the 3-game winning streak to end the season is to kind of leave the younger guys on a positive note and really have themselves kind of get that head start mentally for spring practices coming up in January and February?
I thought it was extremely important that we were able to finish the way that we did, and I thought our players did a great job down the stretch because I think that springboards us into the off-season workouts, and the players the kids have a good taste in their mouth, and finally saw some of the hard work paying off in the wins in the win column, because obviously early in the year we had some tough ones, but I thought we were getting better, and then it finally showed for those guys. So I think it was very important for those guys to leave like that in moving into the off season. We've already met with a lot of kids, and you can tell that they're excited to get going on the 2014 season.
From a macro perspective, what really stood out the most in terms of the team's development over those last 3 games?
I think it was the offensive line and the defensive line. I think that's really where we were able to win those football games, and not taking anything away from the other areas, but you're always going to win games up front. And I thought our offensive line did a great job down the stretch, and I thought our defensive line did a great job down the stretch.
Let's look quickly at some of the position-by-position breakdown. Starting things off, obviously, at quarterback, you began the year with Alec Warner. He had 13 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, completed just under about 60% of his passes. Josh Luckenball comes in, 12 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, a shade under 60% in terms of completion percentage as well. So you had 2 guys that have moderate to high success at quarterback, and obviously both of those guys are going to factor in a role for a chance to get that starting position for 2014. But just talk about being able to have 2 different guys have that experience, and how that helps to maybe make the battle of those guys helping each other really a prevalent thing spring into next summer.
Well, I think it's great to in some regard to have 2 guys with extensive experience in game action, because sometimes you worry if you only have one guy that's played any significant role, that if something happens to that individual, the next guy in doesn't have the game experience. Where now we've got 2 guys that have started a handful of football games at the collegiate level, which is more than a lot of teams can say. And we have a couple other young quarterbacks in the program that are still going to have an opportunity to compete. And that's what it's going to be over the next 9 months. And everything those guys do, they're going to be evaluated, and it's going to be a competition. And we'll have an idea at the end of spring practice who we project as the starter at the beginning of September. But then we'll make that decision, as we always do at the end of camp in August, as to who the guy is that'll be taking the first snap come September of 2014.
Now, for a variety of reasons, doesn't matter what program it is, doesn't matter what sport it is, there's always turnover from one year to the next. But obviously, having the ability of the quarterback to know just the basic tenets of the offense is key for him to kind of command a presence for some of the new guys moving forward. Overall, how would you assess the command of the offense for both Josh and Alec?
I think it's a work in progress. I mean, they both have a pretty good grasp of what we're doing, but they have a lot to learn as well, because they're both still pretty young. Josh still has 2 years left, and Alec has 3 years left. So they have a lot of room to grow, and something with both them. They're hard workers, and they're competitive players. So there's no doubt in my mind that they will get better, and they will get a better grasp of what we're doing, and we're going to be able to do a lot more as they get older and they get more experience and get a better knowledge of what we're doing.
Now, looking at the skill positions, running-wise, Curtis Wortham obviously finishes off his senior season strong, able to total 571 yards, average 4.5 yards per carry. But we also got to see Darryl Scott, just under 400 yards total, same or similar average to Curtis. James Waugh, again, similar type of average, 4.4 carries. He totaled 127 rushing yards. Your receivers stepped up. Obviously, when you have Cody Reed able to finish all PSAC second team, then you have Alex Tanis with 76 receptions, Brett Fox, Anthony Kelly, Kellen Williams. It seems like you had a lot of youth at those positions, but it seemed like those guys really were able to step in well. And how does that help out moving things forward?
Well, it's great. Again, you have a lot of guys with game experience and with success on the field that are coming back that are going to be expected to be leaders and contributors. But then what it also does is it gives the younger players who maybe haven't played, it gives them a role model, somebody to look up to and try to emulate. So we're excited to have those guys coming back, and we're looking to build off of what we've done these last couple of weeks and bring in some players to try to fill some needs and or create some depth in some spots and create some competition.
Now, similar type of question what I was asking about Alec and Josh. How many of these guys do you feel have enough of command of the offense where they kind of almost have that feel of what you expect, where they can kind of, if they need to break off a route real quick with the quarterback, they can, or make that quick move on a defensive back where you know you have that comfort of that guy's going to be open. Do you feel that certain guys have been able to get to that point yet?
There's no doubt. I think especially guys like Cody and Brett that have been in the offense now for the last 2 and some 3 years, those guys have done a good job with being able to make adjustments and being able to make adjustments in game where we've maybe tweaked some things on the sidelines. And that's something I think Kellen and Anthony will continue to get better at, and Alex as well as they get older and more game experience. But I think all of them as a whole did a great job with their ability to make adjustments when needed.
Now, obviously, you mentioned the offensive line improving. How confident are you that this group's going to be able to hit the ground running, and what changes might need to be made in terms of players like Chase moving on in terms of graduation?
I know we're going to hit the ground running. The kids are already on their own in the weight room and starting to prepare for 2014, and we've actually given them some time off to try to let their bodies heal up a little bit after the grind of a season. But on their own, some guys have already taken upon themselves to start working, and we'll have to make some adjustments, and that's usually what it is. I don't think there's any major overhauls that we need to make. It's just going to be some tweaks and adjustments here and there, and obviously we're going to have to fill the void that Chase is going to leave with graduating. But we have some guys that we're excited to see, and we feel confident that they're going to do well when they're given the opportunity.
On the flip side, looking at the front seven now, you have a case where Zach Greenwald and Sam Dixon-Dugan will be seniors next year. Those guys obviously did a great job. Sam leading the team with 88 tackles, had 14 tackles for a loss. Zach, 20.5 tackles for a loss. That includes 8 sacks, but you also have Michael Gallagher with 5 sacks, Eric Condren with 3 sacks, Zachary Delp doing a great job, able to get 3 interceptions, a team high, 2.5 sacks. A lot of those guys obviously coming back next year for the front seven. Do you feel that at this point, if things can work out in the offseason, that come next year, that this is a defense that can not only make stats but maybe dictate some games with some big plays they make?
Well, we'd like to think so, but ultimately that's going to come over the course of the next 9 months in the development that our players make and that we make as a team. It's all going to factor into that. But there's no question we have a lot of players that we're excited to have coming back, and a lot of good players that are going to be coming back. But it's going to be something that we're going to have to work on over the next 9 months. It's not just going to happen because, hey, we're here again this year. But I feel confident that those guys will get it done.
Now, Zach and Sam, both all PSAC second-team guys. How pumped are those two guys in particular to kind of get the head start for their senior years?
Well, I think they're excited, but they also start looking around like, wow, this is it. I'm walking into my last year, my last off season, and one of them actually had said to me the other day, they're like, everything I do from here on out will be the last time that I do this, that I do that. So I think it's something that it's starting to hit them as this senior class graduated, that they're now moving into that role. So I'm sure that they're going to do everything that they can to help make our team as good as it can be come 2014.
Obviously, a big senior leadership role for Alex Dinolfi, as he was named All-PSAC first team. Did a good job in terms of guiding that offense. Also had an interception this year, 58 tackles, 4 for a loss. In terms of the secondary, what guys might you think will be able to take over his role in terms of helping to guide the rest of the defense in terms of schemes and plays?
Well, I think the first guy that comes to mind is English PA. He'll end up being a 4-year starter as long as everything goes well in the offseason. He stays healthy, but he's somebody that we will certainly lean on from a leadership perspective. And then we had a handful of young guys that played back there this year as well that ultimately they will be leaders because of the fact that they have game experience. And you tell them that, look, once you've played a couple of games, you're not allowed to be a freshman anymore. So we have a couple of those young guys back there, Lance Dean, Jalen Yavis, that we're going to expect things from. And then the other one is Cody Waltemeyer, who's an outside linebacker, but does some things that they technically do in the secondary. So he'll be another guy that'll be a big part of our success come the fall.
And then for special teams, you kind of had to quickly adjust to changes in the kicking game during camp. A little bit of a slow start, but things finished strong for Andrew Deutsch and Nate Fair. Now, Fair, a senior, he won't be back next year. But what do you foresee from the kicking game special teams-wise, and what have you seen from some of the young guys who were on the coverage units, that those guys can, even if they don't play on special teams, help out some of the newcomers, whoever they may be, help them to get acclimated to the key things you need to do on special teams?
Well, first, I think Andrew Deutsch did a great job of getting thrust into a role that he didn't expect to be in terms of taking care of or the majority of the kicking duties. I thought he did a great job as the season went on, and he was able to make all the extra points once he took over the duties full time, and was able to hit a couple big field goals for us down the stretch, which ended up being a big part of our success. So we're excited to have him back. Obviously, we're sad to see Nate go. And it'll be something we're going to have to, in the offseason, we're going to have to look to recruit some more kickers, which we do every year. And then the cover units, I thought did a pretty good job for the most part all season long. And we had a lot of young players on those cover units, and I'm sure they're going to be back in very similar roles, if not the same role next fall, and they'll only get better at those. And we'll have some guys that we were able to redshirt this year that I'm sure are going to have an impact on some of those special teams. The return units, it's one of those things where I think we've done a pretty good job. Obviously, we had a big kickoff return for a touchdown against Millersville, which kind of helped us seal that game, I believe. And we were solid in punt returns, because the big thing in the punt return game is make sure that we have the football at the end of the play and getting back there and fielding the punts, because you don't want to lose yards when the punt hits the ground and rolls. And Cody Reed did a good job all season long of making sure that we were fielding the ball and not losing yardage.
And finally, kind of wrap things up from a coaching perspective, obviously your first year as a head coach, Ross Pennypacker comes in as defensive coordinator. You have other new guys like Marcel Quarterman come in. Do you feel like you guys having a full off season beginning now, that's really going to help you guys to really continue the groove that you guys have in terms of staff meetings and such?
Absolutely. I think it's for all involved, it was a learning process, not just for our kids, but I think our staff, because with the exception of one coach, we had 9 guys that were in different roles in some capacity. Even though we had a bunch of coaches that were on the staff before, we had shifted some things around, and I think everybody now has a better feel for what their role is on the staff. And now when we go into this year's off season, it's not going to be the first time we're doing things. Now it's going to be, okay, this is how we're going to tweak this is how we're going to tweak that. So it's something that we're all excited. Obviously, you want to keep playing because that's what you play and that's what you coach for. But as every season ends and now it starts the off season, we're excited to get to work here over the next 9 months to get ready for 2014.
Well, thanks again for your time throughout the year, Coach. And I know that the off season's already begun, so looking forward to what's to come in the spring for practices and workouts.
Thank you.
And again, that's head coach Drew Fulmer, as the Golden Bears football team finishes their 2013 season 4-7, but with strong victories against Lock Haven, Millersville, and Edinboro, and able to get all those victories by at least 21 points. We're going to step off the break here on the Golden Bear Beat. When we return on KUR, we'll talk about the conclusion of the 2013 women's soccer and volleyball seasons. Stay tuned on KUR. And welcome back here on the Golden Bear Beat. Adam Dobrovolsky here as we move from the conclusion of one season to another, as we go from football to, the international variety, KU women's soccer. And, the Golden Bears have been into the NCAA tournament. They're looking to get their first win in program history at this postseason level. Golden Bears having a rematch against Westchester University. It was on the campus of California University of PA, which was the half-region host, the top seed in the Atlantic region in the NCAAs. But Kutztown and Westchester in a tight game early on in the first half. Kutztown having some chances, but unfortunately 2 shots went off the crossbar, one from Mariah Dim in the 21st minute, and one also coming from Diana Malenga in the 30th minute. It was scoreless at the half, but Kutztown knocking on the door in the second half. They would break through in the 75th minute as Sam Basilla moved the ball up the right backfield, able to get a pass over the top in the corner to Sam Costello. Costello with the cross into the 18. Diana Malenga, trap and shot goes in, left side of the goal for Kutztown. Golden Bears up 1-0. Then the 3rd minute, Kutztown with a breakaway for Elena Curry. 2-on-1. Curry with the pass to Taylor Higgins. Higgins gets the finish past the Westchester goalkeeper. 2-0 KU wins as they get their first victory in NCAA tournament play in program history, as the Golden Bears move on to the second round for the 3rd time in 5 seasons. Unfortunately, this season would come to an end against the 6th-ranked Cal Vulcans. It was all Vulcans, especially early on. Off the first corner of the game, just 91 seconds in, Aaron Hogan sends the ball to the far side. Haley Henderson headers it through the goal, 1-0. In the 5th minute, Kelsey Russo gets the ball down the right side, the cross in the 18, finished by Crockett, 2-0. And then Aaron Hogan with a shot that got past Alina Rakowitz through her grasp. Hogan, the first of 2 first-half goals. That was the 3rd of 6 goals in the game for Cal, as unprecedented 6-1 victory to end the Kutztown season. The Golden Bears had not allowed more than 2 goals in a single game until this final one. But Cal moving on, they've been great this whole season and now have gone unbeaten in their last 19 games. So Kutztown just ran, unfortunately, into a buzzsaw. But Kutztown getting a goal from Hannah Fenstermacher in the 85th minute, the only goal the Vulcans allowed at home this entire season, believe it or not. That was it for Cal in terms of allowing goals this season. So Kutztown ends its season with a 13-7 mark for the year, but making some history, winning its first ever first ever NCAA tournament game. Did want to hear from the team as we wrap up the talk here of the 2013 women's soccer season. First, hearing from head coach Eric Burstein and his thoughts on Kutztown's victory against Westchester.
Well, when the game started, we had a couple of really good chances, halfway through the first half. I felt we were unfortunate not to be up a goal. But Westchester, they're a quality team, and the longer you sit in a 0-0 scoreline, they can counterattack one time, or give them a set piece, a corner, and they can find a goal. And then when you go down, you really got to fight to get back. So I was hoping that we would find a way to get a goal to settle us down, and we did. And all credit to this team. I mean, we came in with a game plan. They executed very well. We were a little sloppy at times in the first half, but we made a much better, much more efficient second half. And we just were really happy with the result.
And obviously a lot of excitement for this victory. Social media just blew up in terms of the response to Kutztown getting its victory. Good outpouring from past women's soccer players in this program, knowing the importance of getting that first NCAA tournament victory for the program. I talked to the sophomore, now becoming junior, captain in Diana Malenga, and asked her, well, what was the outside response for her that she received after the victory?
When I got back to the bus and I turned on my phone, I had so many text messages from people I didn't even know were still following my sports career personally, from that game, so many congratulations texts and everything, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely a great experience for the Golden Bears. Unfortunately, it came to an end 2 days later this past Sunday against Cal, but still lessons that can be learned, obviously, although the season comes to an end. Coach Burstein talked about those lessons.
I think, one of the most important things, because it's a young team and essentially what is a rebuilding year for us, we needed the experience of being here. Obviously, the first time we played Cal, we played them much closer, and I thought we performed in 90 minutes against Cal the first time. It was a more complete performance than it was today. So I think we needed the experience. I think we needed to get to this level, know what it's like to win a game, which was a great achievement for the girls, and then know what it's like to come back 2 days later and lose. So we needed the experience. Disappointing for sure, but moving forward, hopefully we can, as a coaching staff and as a team, we can learn from it and move on.
Obviously, now there's also a new standard to be set for this program, getting that first NCAA tournament victory. Before this, the standard was to get to the NCAA tournament. You can now perhaps see the signs that there's going to be things that this team can build upon. And that was something that I discussed with the sophomore right back in Sam Basillo. Basillo was basically the unsung hero in the 2-0 victory against Westchester, as the Golden Rams played low pressure. It allowed the outside backs to push the ball up when getting the ball from the Kutztown defensive third. Basillo helping to set up that first goal, but she talked about the standard for this Kutztown women's soccer program.
I mean, it was great for us to be considered a rebuilding year, and we accomplished something that great is just fantastic. I mean, Katie Miller in the back came up big as a freshman, and we really needed that. You know, we have our forwards, Megan Frailer, freshman. She scores a ton of goals for us, and it's just nice because we're going to be good.
They are certainly going to be good if they can continue to build upon this past season due to that great play from the underclassmen. As Sam mentioned, Katie Miller, she was named All-PSAC as an honorable mention at center back. You had Dinah Malenga as a sophomore, second consecutive season, second team All-PSAC in the midfield. Megan Frailer, Elena Curry, each with 7 goals up front. A lot of underclassmen that can get the job done, and Eric Burstein went into more details.
Our underclassmen are tremendous, you know, our freshmen and our sophomores. And, you know, we do have, we lose a good senior captain and a good senior goalkeeper. But we also have great underclassmen leadership in Sam Costello and Diana Malanga. And then the person who will step in and work with them as captain, you know, we have a lot of good leadership. So, yeah, we have a great core group, you know, to move forward. And, you know, if we were going to have a setback year, I really thought it would have been this year. But the character of the players that we have, the determination, their work rate, their passion for high standards and quality is immense, and that's why these kids are the reason why we're in the position we're in every year. So to their credit, it was certainly well deserved, and we couldn't be prouder of what they put forth throughout the whole year, especially starting 1 and 3.
Yeah, and to mention the start of 1 and 3, to be able to show that passion, that dedication, especially with such a young team to bounce back, really what was a good sign because, again, as mentioned, the standard coming into this season was to get to the NCAAs, find some stretch of the season where the team can go on a good winning streak. They did that after the 1 and 3 start with the 7-game winning streak as they were able to get to 8 and 3 on the season. But then after back-to-back losses against ranked teams, Slippery Rock and Cal at 8 and 5, Kutztown finished the season with 4 consecutive victories. So overcoming that 1 and 3 start was huge. And I talked to junior forward Mariah Dim, got her thoughts on really what was the key to overcoming that 1 and 3 start from the team within.
I think it's just how we would prepare before games. We would do activities even with our assistant coach, Britt. She would give us motivation speeches, and then we would do these activities like write a word to get you motivated on your arm, like all this stuff. Like she did that before the 2 NCAA games. And just, the locker room before games, like we were always just so excited to play. It was important for us to get pumped up and ready for each game.
So really that mentality of the team, a big factor for this unit, and certainly something that they can continue to do as they grow stronger as a team and as a family. But obviously the lessons are still being learned here in terms of continuing to get better as a team, get to that standard of a team like Cal. Golden Bears got to see exactly what a team that can convert as well and as often as Cal did early on, how that can kind of abruptly end the season. So I talked to standout midfielder Hannah Fenstermacher, got her thoughts on a little bit more of what the Golden Bears can learn in terms of their approach to these NCAA tournament games.
They're hard, they're tough, and it takes a lot of quality and effort to win the games, and I think we did really well on our first game, and I think we just need to learn to keep that for all of the games. Like, we have to work really hard, not just for one, but for all.
And that will be obviously what the team will strive towards coming through next season. Golden Bears will lose 2 seniors in goalkeeper Alina Rakowitz and center back Katie Oliveri. They obviously had a huge impact on the team, as Basilio mentioned.
Oh man, they were the best role models for me, especially being a defender. So Katie O really helped me become the player that I am. She always stuck by me, even last year as a freshman. It was just so tough for me, and she helped me through a lot. And I mean, Alina, she was our stone wall this year. We couldn't have done half of what we did without her. She was just a really great role model.
And then obviously now with those seniors going, it's going to be a new class of seniors coming up. And you look at the junior class of 2013. You have a goalkeeper in Jess Campbell who might be fighting for positioning as a starter next year, perhaps as a senior. But then you have obviously standout forwards like Mariah Dim and Sam Costello, the midfielder, and Fenstermacher. Ruby Mink as a junior and Taylor Higgins as a junior helped out in terms of forward play. Jordan Davis helped out in the midfield and forward. Those are good standout players and good personalities to help this team continue to move forward. Dim talked about it, becoming a senior, and what will need to be done from those group of players.
Yeah, we're definitely going to just keep encouraging the players, to stay fit in the off season, especially going into the spring season. We just have to have a good spring season. I know next year is just going to be a great year for us, and especially it's going to be a great senior year.
And obviously, as mentioned from Mariah, it's going to start in the spring when you obviously have to get the training done, get the conditioning done, and make sure that team's still working in terms of the spring season as those semesters do carry over. And then finally, wanted to get the thoughts from some of the players on some of the best moments. Sam Basillo mentioned, obviously, the first win against Westchester was pretty huge. We know the second win was even bigger, but some of those games during the season, the Edinboro victory and the goal by Mariah Dim was one thing that stood out for her as she was able to work her way to, at the time, her first goal of the season. Even the losses, the close ones, games like Slippery Rock, as Sam Basillo mentioned, those were games that the team learned that they can compete at a very high level. But obviously, wanted to hear from the person who had the game-winning goal in Kutztown's first ever NCAA tournament victory.
I'm going to say the goal against Westchester in NCAAs. I mean, it was a long-fought game, and it was coming. We knew it was coming, but finally just to get that goal with, I think, 15 minutes left was just a great moment for me. First thing I thought was you're not supposed to take 2 touches in the box because Coach always says that, but I had to at that point, and I was just I just need to finish this low, hard in the corner like he asks. And as soon as the ball came off my foot, I knew it was a goal. So I was just pure excitement, just looking for somebody to hug.
And definitely that is going to be a moment not just memorable for 2013, but throughout Kutztown women's soccer history. We're going to step off to break here on KUR. When we come back for our final third of the show, we'll wrap up the 2013 volleyball season, look ahead to Zach Fleming's run in the NCAA championships for cross country, and take a quick look around KU athletics. We'll have more when we return on KUR. Stay tuned on the Golden Bear Beat. And back here again on the Golden Bear Beat as we continue now with the show. We move from women's soccer to volleyball as the 2013 season came to an end for the volleyball team as well. Had 3 games to wrap up the regular season. 2 at home against Cheney this past Friday, and then senior day against Westchester on Saturday. 2 wins against the Wolves of Cheney, both in 3 sets. In the first match, Golden Bears were led by 8 kills on 13 total attacks by Avery Hodge, and a nice performance from her. Tori Wakely had 5 kills. Allie York with 6. Xandria Zielinski from the middle hitter spot, 7. Good job by her as well. And then in the second match, Kutztown also winning in 3 sets. 8 kills by Zielinski, 8 by Wakely, 7 by Skolnicki, 5 apiece by Kelsey Cromer and Avery Hodgson. Unfortunately, the Golden Bears couldn't get a third victory for the weekend as Westchester took down KU in straight sets on senior day, led by Julia O'Brien's 13 kills and 24 attacks. For Kutztown, their half, Chelsea Braga, Liama Goodrich, Audrey Stringer, each with 4+ kills. Digging-wise, Chelsea Braga led the team with 12 as the Golden Bears finishing up their season 14-19 with an 8-14 record in PSAC East play. As this season, much like it was for the entire really fall team sports in terms of football, women's soccer, field hockey, also for volleyball, the theme was the youth of the team. And the question was, how quickly would the youth get together with the returning players? For here, there was a little bit more youth heavy than some of the other teams. And it showed at times where the Golden Bears were close. Just couldn't get over the hump in some of these games. 2-7 record in 5-set games, but able to compete with the likes of splitting 2 games against Fairmont State, a 20-plus win team, winning against a 20-win team against in terms of Charleston, winning 2 crossover games to start off the PSAC season, competing with the likes of Cal U, Shippensburg, Clarion, Seton Hill. This is a team that is going to get there, and next season might be where they get there. That's going to be kind of the thing moving forward for the Golden Bears. But obviously, want to hear from head coach John Gump and some of the players. First off, Coach Gump on his impressions for 2013.
I think we made a lot of progress from when we came in August to the end of the season. We saw a lot of not only individual progress, but also as a group. We didn't reach a lot of the goals that we set for ourselves, and that was disappointing, but certainly not discouraging. Convinced that we're moving in the right direction. I'm convinced that with an off season to work on physical training and some teamwork in the spring, I think the future is really bright for us.
Yeah, certainly the future is very bright, and it may all begin with Audrey Stringer, the middle hitter for Kutztown. This season averaged 2.74 kills per set, was outstanding in terms of efficiency, an attack percentage of 30.5 for the year. And with that, she was named to the All-PSAC East team, first team as a middle hitter. Got the thoughts from Audrey on being named to the All-PSAC team.
I'm actually really honored. I didn't think I was going to get All-PSAC, but I think it wasn't just me, it was help my team. Anna is obviously a really big contributor. I wouldn't be where I was without her setting, and my whole team just picked me up when I was down, helped me perform well when I was not performing so well, and when I wasn't performing well, encouraged me and kept me on my fire. And
really just a good job overall by the team helping to set up Stringer. Now, this was the first season that Audrey was playing primarily as a middle hitter. As a freshman last year, she was primarily on the right side. Here, more so up the middle. And, well, that's going to be an interesting dynamic. Teams didn't have as much to know about her when she made the transition, as Audrey mentioned, and that will make things a little bit tougher moving forward when they have now the film.
I guess no team expected me to play middle, so since I played right side last year, like me moving to the middle was, I guess, different for teams. They didn't know what I was going to do. They didn't know if I was going to be good at it, so it was definitely like a mixing it up. And I think right side helped me a lot in the middle because I was able to hit multiple sets, and it just helped me become a better player. Definitely I just have to keep working hard and getting to my setter, calling the ball every play, just keep working, and even if teams are going to try to shut me down and scout me, I just have to do different things and make sure I'm diverse and doing every single set so I have options if they're going to shut me down.
Now the core of Kutztown's future will be in the freshman setter, Anna Conti, a big freshman class. Conti got to 1,000 assists, though, this season, one of just 3 different Golden Bears to do it, and Conti finishing 6th all-time in a single season in terms of assists. And she had 1,039 assists for the season. I got some comments from Conti, including that of her reaching the 1K assist mark. Her response of what made it possible was quite simple.
I would say I'm very blessed, and God has definitely been a big part of my life and with my volleyball career as well. So I think, and it really helps having awesome teammates to help you out with that. I mean, you can't do anything without your teammates. Faith
and family, obviously, 2 big things to help you do your best. That family portion, the freshmen, Conti talked about her thoughts on the freshman class from this year.
All of us girls meshed well together, so that was good. I know there's a ton of incoming freshmen, and I think we definitely still have a lot of work, but I think we started off really strong, and I can't wait to see what next year has.
Definitely a strong freshman class, not just what Anna did, but the defense did a great job as well in terms of the freshmen, outside hitting as well. Standout players like Morgan McKenzie and Madison Brake. Defensively, on the outside, Liama Goodrich really stepped up as the year went on. And even some of the players we didn't see a whole lot, but helped come in at key times to boost things in terms of the team's momentum. Players like Zandria Zielinski really did help out. The big part, though, when you have a lot of those young players is getting that communication to go. And I asked Madison Brake what she kind of noticed in terms of the differences of communication, and she really did see improvements from a team, as she mentioned here.
Yeah, in the beginning we were definitely a lot more quiet, but then as the year went on, we began to trust each other, and you learn each other's tendencies. So I think overall our communication really did increase.
Team got louder as the season progressed as well. So that's going to be something that will help the team from this point moving forward, heading into the spring and such as the summer. These players now know each other, not just off the court as friends and pretty much family, but on the court, knowing the tendencies, knowing how to communicate, where to set up their fellow players. That certainly will be a big benefit for this team moving forward now that they have this year under their belt. But we do want to talk about some of the seniors. 3 seniors for the Golden Bears, 2 of which was within the volleyball program throughout their time here, one of which moved over from basketball to volleyball this season. But your 3 seniors, Nicole Brumbley and Emily Hepler, were here for multiple years in volleyball. Avery Hodgson moved over from basketball to volleyball. So, big time here for those 3 to have their senior day. And Nicole Brumbley, I talked to her yesterday, and she very much was impressed of the reception that she and her fellow seniors had for senior day.
I felt so special as a senior. Everything, the entire gym was decorated, all the gifts I received, and just how special I felt to be part of this team. It was great. It was like a day to be recognized for all my hard work and finally paying off. That was one of my favorite moments.
Now, obviously, we wanted to hear, of course, from head coach John Gump, get his thoughts on the impact of the seniors, especially the 2 in Hepler and Brumbley who have progressed through the years in the volleyball program.
Well, obviously, we need to replace Nicole Brumbley. Fortunately, Andrea Zielinski is already here. She's played very, very well for us as a freshman, and the opportunities that she got, she filled in for Nicole when Nicole wasn't with us on one trip, and she stepped in some matches when we were struggling and gave us a lift, and I'm really, really confident in her. And it's nice to know that we have somebody already here who's comfortable with our system, familiar with our system, that we can plug in to that spot. Emily Hepler was a great leader. She did a really nice job for us kind of showing our younger kids what commitment's all about. This semester, between her professional semester and her academic burden and athletically, they saw a kid who just pushed herself to remain committed to doing the things that were necessary to be successful.
And obviously, a parting message to close out this segment here. You get it from senior Nicole Brumbley as she mentions what the seniors' parting message was to their teammates.
We just want to say pretty much dedication is the key to success. Dedication to work hard even when you don't feel like it, but you know you have to. If you just push it through it, dedication will lead to success. Determination to do your best at all points, even if you just had a down part of the game, your last game wasn't your best. Determination to get up and get back on your feet. That's what I hope they learn from us.
So certainly the presence of those 3 seniors in Brumbley, in Hodgson, and in Hepler, they'll be missed. But this team, young, they're going to have a lot of promise in terms of moving forward to 2014 and beyond. But as we wrap up our 3 seasons here for fall, we already had field hockey wrap up. Well, we still have one more thing left for the fall season, and that is in cross country. Remember, 2 weeks ago, both the men and women competed in the Atlantic Regional. Good finishes, 8th and 9th for those 2 teams. Got to talk to head coach Ray Hoffman earlier this week before he and Zach Fleming made the trip. They're out in Spokane, Washington, as Zach Fleming going to the NCAA National Championships in cross country. Fleming finishing 6th individually in the regional race. Talked to coach for the most part. He was quite pleased with how the team did cross country wise. Thought there were some areas the teams could get better. I mean, that's pretty much what you're going to get from a coach. Still things that can be improved, but overall, good season for this team. Remember, the women's team won the DeSales meet. Fleming individually on the men's side was able to grab a victory there, and now he makes it to the national championships. Well, you have 6th in the region, the question is, what's the expectation on the national level? And here's what Coach Hoffman had to say.
I've been saying this all year with Zach. His biggest enemy is his mind. If he gets himself right mentally, lets the physical part take over, he's going to do a great job out there. Making it as an individual, and finishing, sixth in the region overall, behind some of the top guys in the country, being Monroe and Dinzio, as you stated before. I think he has a legit shot of, going after an All-American status there. To do that, you have to be the top 40 in the race. And, being one of the top individuals going into the race, not an individual who got there because you were part of a team that qualified, I think that makes him, more than capable of obtaining that.
So we'll see what happens in terms of the mental approach from Fleming, but we did obviously want to hear from him. And in fact, this past weekend for the Gold Rush Report, for coverage of Senior Day for football, our very own Steve Degler from the university sat down and talked to Zach Fleming. So we give you a re-air of that interview. Thoughts on his chances in the Nationals, thoughts on his performance this season, and of course his KU career. So without further ado, here's the interview.
Our first guest this week is Zach Fleming, who is a senior cross-country runner from Emerald, Pennsylvania, a leisure and sports studies major. And Zach finished in 6th place in the NCAA Atlantic Region Championships on November 9th to qualify for the NCAA National Championships, November 23rd in Spokane, Washington. First of all, Zach, congratulations on the honor of getting to qualify for Nationals.
Thank you.
You were telling us before the interview started, 1, you've never been across the Mississippi, and 2, you've never been on a plane. How excited are you to head to Spokane for this?
I'm very excited. I just got to make sure to drink a lot of water so I don't get...
You're trying to avoid dehydration, obviously.
Dehydration, yeah.
Is it something where the time change is a concern for you?
No. My coach, Coach Dodds, he's a pole vault coach. He used to be an Ironman. He just warned me of all the possible side effects and told me to just drink up, and the time effects shouldn't be major.
Take me back to the beginning of the season. As you get ready for your final year here at Kutztown, how much of a goal was this to qualify for Nationals for you?
At the beginning of the season, it was more of a kind of dream. I thought it was in the cards maybe. There was a possibility, but at the beginning of the season, we were just worried about time goals. My goal was to break 32, and I did that by almost a minute, and I was hoping to get top 10 at regionals. That was the goal. And that might have gotten me into Nationals, but I wasn't really a major concern at the beginning of the season.
So to qualify now, what does it mean to you personally?
It means the world, because qualifying for Nationals kind of I was used to qualifying provisionally in track and field. I've done it since my freshman year, and I'm used to not going when that happens. So qualifying automatically was a big thing for me because I haven't been to Nationals yet in my 4 years.
So you're kind of the lone wolf now, the last guy standing. Are your teammates, though, helping you as you train for Nationals?
They're on their 2 weeks off right now, so I'm training up by myself right now.
Is that a difficult thing, to be out there by yourself?
Yeah, it got a lot colder as soon as regionals got over, and it's kind of been hard training by myself, yeah.
When you look at what you're up against in Spokane, what are your goals now that you've made it to Nationals?
Well, my coach told me top 40 is All-American, so that's obviously the goal. Time-wise, if I break 30-30, I'd be happy with any place, really.
When you go to the regions, it's kind of the same group of runners you run against in the PSAC championships. Was that some sort of an advantage for you, you feel?
Yeah, because I knew who I was supposed to go up against. I knew who was going to beat me, who was going to be up there, and who I needed to stay with to get All-American and Nationals, so...
I mentioned you're a leisure and sports studies major and a senior. What are your plans after graduation?
Get a master's in sports psychology and then hopefully coach college athletics.
You mentioned psychology. It's such a mental aspect as well as physical, being a cross-country runner. How are the two tied in for you?
Well, freshman year, my mind wasn't a whole lot there. So senior year, I'm used to everything. I've got the great mindset, and it helps out a lot. Pushing myself through races.
Well, it's the first time in 20 years a KU runner has accomplished this. We congratulate you, and we wish you the best of luck in Spokane next weekend.
Thank you very much.
Again, that was Steve Degler sitting down with Zach Fleming, and we do wish the best of luck to Zach. This upcoming Saturday, 2:30 p.m. in Spokane, Washington, the NCAA National Championships for men's cross country. hopefully Zach can get a top 40 spot and get All-American status. You can tune into KUBears.com. They have links to the live results, the live video for the meet, and also the official NCAA program for the meet. To wrap up the show here, just a quick recap of what's also happened elsewhere this week in KU athletics and KU bowling. The women were at the UMES Hawk Classic. Good finish overall for the Golden Bears, defeating Howard, NJCU, Norfolk State, Cheney, number 3, Central Missouri on the third and final day of the meet as well. Kutztown did suffer some tough losses to great competition as well, but overall in the season, 37-16 as they will have their final meet of the fall semester coming up December 7th and 8th at the second NEC conference meet in Fairfield, Connecticut. We'll hear from the team before we head off to winter break. Meanwhile, in basketball on the men's side, Kutztown beginning their season 1-1, defeating Goldie Beacom on the road 62-58 on Friday. A career high 20 points from Ryan Connolly, including tying a career high with 4 3-pointers. Josh Johnson, the freshman, a great job with 12 points and 9 rebounds. Yesterday, the Golden Bears lost to Wilmington 76-70. The visiting Wildcats began the game on a 13-3 run and just able to hold off KU. KU was knocking on the door many times, got it within 1 point on several occasions. Unfortunately, though, unable to knock down the door. Tracy Peel led the way for the Golden Bears with 20 points, also had 7 rebounds. Johnson with 11 and 9. On the women's side, the Golden Bears winning both of their games this past week, now 2-2 on the season as they won at Philadelphia University 75-71. A second-half comeback for KU, 4 players in double digits, including 17 points, 8 rebounds from Alyssa Bonenberger, and then Nicole Donahue, her second consecutive game with a double-double, 12 points and 13 rebounds. Defense the key, though, last night in a 52-50 victory against the University of the Sciences. Avia Campbell, the game-time bucket with 12 seconds left to go. Then a steal by the freshman and Watson, Kelsey Watson, able to also hit both of her free throws as she drew the foul after getting the steal. Kutztown limiting the visiting Devils to just 32.1% shooting from the floor. Avia Campbell led the way offensively, 15 points and 9 rebounds. Women's swimming was at the Golden Bear Invite, hosting it this past weekend on Friday and Saturday. The Golden Bears finished in third in that meet, had several winners in the competition. Caitlin Davies winning 2 individual events, and then in terms of a third event for Kutztown, they were able to win in relay between Davies, Elizabeth Metz, Jess Blyler, and Zoe Cianis. And then finally in KU wrestling, individual competition at the East Stroudsburg University Open. Congratulations to Daniel Ortiz winning the 285 championship, the heavyweight rank in terms of the individual competition. He was a standout for the Golden Bears. Wrestling will have a huge meet, though, tomorrow at 8th-ranked Pitt Johnstown. Log on to KUBears.com to figure out how you can get live stats of that match. That does it for this edition of the Golden Bear Beat. We'll be back on 2 weeks from now. Next week is Thanksgiving, but when we come back in 2 weeks, I'll get you all caught up to date in terms of KU athletics. Until then, we part how we always do. Go Bears, go!
Thank you for listening to this week's edition of the Golden Bear Beat. Make sure to stay updated on everything involving Kutztown University athletics at KUBears.com and tune in for weekly broadcasts every Thursday at noon on KUR.